FM News Talk 97.1. On demand audio.
Tim Jones, former Missouri House Speaker, is joining us right now. And Tim, because he cares about the direction of America, has agreed to speak on behalf of Donald Trump for the race here in Missouri, at least because somebody's got to, right, Tim?
That's right, Mark. And thanks for having me. Always great to be on the show. And yes, Mark, the election is in, I think, 68 days is the number now. And I was the former Republican Speaker of the House. I've been a Republican my whole life. I believe in smaller government, smarter government. I believe the federal government should do some certain things and should do them well, like protecting our borders, which is what Donald Trump's going to talk about today, providing for good national defense, and should do little else, and the things that the government's getting into, like health care via Obamacare, are a disaster. And, one thing, Mark, I want to point out, what Kellyanne was talking about there, Mark, she was on MSNBC talking about that. Isn't that remarkable? And you know why she was on there? Because Hillary Clinton was on Nowhere yesterday talking about nothing related to immigration.
Hillary Clinton was at a fundraiser in the Hamptons or Hollywood or Beverly Hills, and she made a lot of money for the Democratic Party, but she's really, Tim, she's sort of in a, I used the term last week and I heard another caller call in and use it, she's sort of in a four-corner stall. She's got a lead, she's trying to hang on to it, but that prevent defense in the NFL only prevents victory, in my opinion.
That's right, Mark. And, I volunteered. I was contacted by Aaron Willard, who's our Missouri State Coordinator for Trump for Missouri, and by the Communications Director, Todd Abergiano. Both have been political friends of mine and friends in all sense of the word for many years, worked with those two gentlemen on many races. And they contacted me and said, would you like to volunteer to be one of the campaign surrogates to get you're really good at getting the truth out to the media when they don't want to talk about it, when they want to talk about everything but the truth. You can break these things down and put them forward to people in very simple to understand, easy ways on these very complicated issues. I said I'd be happy to, because it's a clear choice for me, Mark. It's a huge difference. A Hillary Clinton presidency is night and day from a Donald Trump one. And a Hillary Clinton presidency means the rest of my life, most likely, will be affected by liberal, left-wing Supreme Court nominees. And a Donald Trump presidency means my life will be affected by people who believe in the Constitution.
Yeah, it's a clear choice. Let me get you back for a moment to this trip to Mexico, Tim, because
absolutely.
The thing that I like about Donald Trump is that he pretty much says what's on his mind. It's one thing to bluster about doing something or what you're going to say to somebody and then looking them in the eyeball and saying it to them. I don't have any doubt in my mind that Donald Trump's going to have a very frank discussion today with the president of Mexico about some of the real problems that they seem to want to deny on that side of the border.
Mark, what I love about what Donald Trump is doing today is that he is showing America and all the pollsters and the pundits and the anti-Trumpers and the never-Trumpers and the left that this is a real campaign. And he's going to do everything that a conventional campaign requires and also an unconventional campaign requires, because for folks who thought that he was just going to jet around and do some kind of an air war on this, well, here you go. You are sorely mistaken. He's going to do a ground game as well. Like you said, it's one thing for the president of Mexico and Donald Trump to trade barbs over the internet and over the talk shows and all that. He's putting his money and his campaign where his mouth is. He is taking time out of his schedule to go right into the belly of the beast, right where the problem is, right where the conflict is. Hey, Mark, Mexico has a lot of problems, too, that the mainstream, left-stream media here in this country never wants to talk about. Guess what they do on their southern border of Mexico? They secure it. They don't let anybody in. They have problems with the drug trade down there, with the cartels, with absolute epic violence. You can't just saunter across the southern Mexico border like you can do in parts of the U.S.-Mexico border, because we have a president right now who doesn't believe in an immigration policy, wants us to be at risk to Syrian refugees who mean to do us harm. There's probably a lot of great Syrian refugees who want to come here for a new life. But with the porous borders we had, terrorists are getting in as well. That's well documented. So what Donald Trump is doing is saying, you know what? I'm going to go down and I'm going to speak to the people that are on the other side of this issue, literally, and I'm going to talk about where we might find common ground. All the while, what's Hillary Clinton doing today? Like you said, she's at the Hamptons, she's in Martha's Vineyard, she's in Beverly Hills, she's raising money in safe confines. What is her immigration policy? What's her plan?
Amnesty.
Well, there aren't any.
It's amnesty. Right. And she's probably taking a nap in there, too, one or two, through the course of the day. This is the one issue.
You can't talk about her health, Mark. You can't do that.
That's true. That's true. So immigration and the economy are the two things that I'm hoping Donald Trump just hammers between now and the end of the election. He shouldn't talk about anything else. Don't get distracted.
Absolutely. Mark, look what's happening in the polls. That's another point I wanted to make today. The other big story that you, I know, are going to talk about and probably have been talking about, and that other common sense news outlets are talking about, the liberal mainstream media doesn't want to talk about, is nationally, all of these major polls in all of the battleground states and in the national polls, everything's narrowing, and it's narrowing dramatically. Frank Luntz just put out a piece this morning. Over the last 30 days, Hillary Clinton's edge over Donald Trump is plummeting like a rock. And in most major polls, nationally and in the battleground states, it's 3 to 5 points within the margin of error. The Clinton campaign is freaking out. Why? They've spent tens of millions of dollars early on in the battleground states, while Donald Trump has yet to unleash his true campaign force. And now that he's out there waging a ground game as well as going toe-to-toe for her, with her on the airwaves, they're panicked because the polls are shifting around. And you're right, Mark. If he stays on the issues that the Americans got excited about in the very first place a year and a half ago, jobs, the economy, defeating ISIS, and securing the border, this election is going to be a landslide for Donald J. Trump.
Wow. I hope you're right. I really do. I see the polls tightening. I keep watching that one in L.A. that they make fun of all the time. Every time you bring it up, somebody in the media denigrates it. But it now shows Donald Trump with a 45-41 lead over Hillary Clinton. And it wasn't all that long ago that it was either tied or she was up by a couple of points. So I don't know that you can completely dismiss it. But it's the one poll that shows him with a 4 or 5 point lead in this race, and all the others have tightened up. And I think you're right. Somebody told me this weekend this thing really starts Labor Day weekend, which is upon us. So,
hey, Mark, isn't it the height of poetic justice that the liberal media would have to be forced to make fun of a poll from Los Angeles?
Yeah, that's true. Very true. And, Tim, while I'm on here, again, thanks for your invitation to go out and help with that St. Vincent's Cooking for Kids event last weekend. It was a great time, fun to see a lot of people out there, including a Democrat gubernatorial candidate, Chris Koster, who was glad-handing with a lot of Republicans trying to get votes.
Mark, we have not only the epic race of Trump v. Clinton and Missouri, just like every other state, in play. These two candidates are epic candidates, and they're going to fight for every electoral vote. But here in Missouri, we've got a lot of other epic races as well. And you've identified one at the top of the ticket there. And we've got a former Republican, Chris Koster, running as a Democrat against a former Democrat, Eric Greitens, running as a Republican. So you've got two guys who it's a tough choice because, honestly, on the political spectrum, I don't know that you could have two candidates that are necessarily closer to each other because Chris Koster, I do not like his stances at all on, he's anti-right to work, so he's in the pocket of labor. He's in the pocket of the trial bar. But on the other hand, he's made some very conservative statements on cutting taxes and tax policy. He's a big defender of Missouri agriculture, our number one industry in our state.
Right.
And he's made overtures to education reform, which is a big issue of mine. On the other hand, if Eric Greitens was governor, I'd love it if he'd sign right to work into law, which he claims he will, and tort reform and all those other things. So it's strange, Mark. I wish Greitens had more of a record I could point to. We have to take him at his word. I love taking people at their word, but it's always nice to do what Reagan said, trust but verify.
There you go. Tim Jones, former House Speaker, appreciate your time.
Get more at 971talk.com.